our Spanish Grand Prix F1 driver ratings. Okay, let's get into driver ratings then, shall we? And let's begin where we always begin, with Logie Sarge. Started from the pit lane, finished 20th. It's going to be a 2 out of 10 for Logan Sargeant. I'm going to give him a point for, well, I was going to say for not binning it. He did actually bin it during the weekend, but not aggressively binning it. The most anonymous weekend, I think, so far for Logan Sargeant. Off the pace, just had no pace.
He did not. I've gone for a 3 out of 10. He was easily beaten by Albon, which I guess is expected. And that race really did look like Williams are the worst car again. Okay, well done, Logan. Although I probably wouldn't say well done too much. We now go to Alex Albon. Started 18th, finished 16th. Gone for a 6 out of 10 for Albon. Not much to say, really. He's just driven a car that's not very good to be all right, but not particularly special. Williams really struggled, and Alex wasn't able to put that Williams in crazy places like he has done in some of the other races. So, yeah, just 6 out of 10. I've also gone for a 6 out of 10 for Alex. He didn't finish last. He beat Magnussen and Bottas, which, you know, I'm sure he'll be so proud of that. It does genuinely look like Williams have fallen off a cliff and haven't been able to upgrade or really move forward with their car. And, you know, they're a team that don't have the dollar bills to just throw at this car. So, yeah. A shame. Yeah, it's not looking good. Speaking of not looking good, Nick de Vries started 14th, finished 14th. So he spun twice in qualifying in the same part of the track, got away with it both times. It obviously, when you look at it on paper, you go, well, you know, Tsunoda finished 12th and de Vries finished 14th. Not really, because Tsunoda obviously picked up that penalty. I've gone for a 4 out of 10. I should probably say that. Just a meh weekend for de Vries. Yeah, I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Nick de Vries. Just an average performance. At least he's not kind of binning it in the race or done anything particularly bad. Yuki Tsunoda started 15th, finished 12th. Pain. I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Yuki. Another brilliant drive taken away from him. Personally, I think the penalty was a bit harsh. Still, another good drive, and putting that AlphaTauri in great places. He'll just be wishing that there were more points on offer, because he'd have loads by now. I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Yuki. I think if I was to give it a percentage, I think 60% is like, I don't think he should have got a penalty, but 40% of me understands that, yes, when you look at the rule book, that is kind of what it says, in the sense of ZHOU deserved that space. So tough, because Yuki genuinely really deserved it. It was Yuki versus ZHOU, both having amazing performances. So it was great to see them both fighting for points. We now go to Nico Hulkenberg. Started 7th, finished 15th. I've gone for a 5 out of 10 because I feel as though the qualifying was just an anomaly and something that he just did a really good job with, but falling back so far. It felt like he was always moving forward, and yet he finished 15th. He was making moves left, right and centre. Haas were, you know, if he didn't have a position counter, you would be, you know, forgiven to mistake them being on the podium. Just not good race pace. Haas, it was slightly difficult conditions. Hulkenberg really did a great job, but they just couldn't hold on when it came to Sunday. And yeah, 5 out of 10. I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Hulk. The qualifying was really good, but yeah, what are Haas doing at the moment in the races? They just look so poor. No, I'm going to give Nico a 6 out of 10. I think that's fair. No, I think that's much nicer. Sorry, editor. 6 out of 10, because how dare I give him a 5 out of 10 for a shocking car and then qualifying 7th. Kevin Magnussen started 17th, finished 18th. I've gone for a 3 out of 10 for K-Mag here. A lot slower in qualifying. I mean, 10 positions behind his teammate in qualifying is very poor. Only finish ahead of Bottas and Logie Sarge, was it? Yeah, not a great race at all. Really poor from K-Mag. I've also gone for a 3 out of 10 for K-Mag. Where is he? Like, why is he not showing up like Hulk was in qualifying this weekend? It just seemed as though there were a tale of two halves for a lot of the teams. It's not what I expected Haas to be doing at this stage of the year, when they're known for falling away throughout the year. We now go to Lance Stroll. Started 5th, finished 6th. I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Lance Stroll. I'm impressed. I think this grade is also considering how bad Monaco was as well, and to bounce back to qualify 5th,
not make a mistake, finish 6th. Maybe he can build from here now, going into his home race in a couple of weeks.
I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Lance. I think it was a good drive, but I don't think it was like a worldy drive. I think it's definitely a much better drive to bounce back from, but I can't give it any higher than a 7. It's like a 7.5 for me, but I'm going for a 7.
Okay, we now go to his teammate Fernando Alonso. Started 8th, finished 7th.
I've gone for the same grade, 7 out of 10. Finished together on the road. And Alonso would have beaten him in the race if he'd have passed him, but instead he was waving to the crowd. You can't separate them just because one's Fernando Alonso and one's Lance Stroll.
Interesting. Your fanboy is showing. I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Fernando. I think it was a pretty disappointing weekend for him, making that crucial error in qualifying, which hampered his car for the entirety of it, and then he couldn't get any higher than, well, we qualified 9th, but obviously started 8th, and then just didn't really have the pace. Considering he has consistently destroyed Stroll this year, I can't give him any higher than a 6, just because I think it was a relatively poor weekend for Fernando when you consider what he has been doing. Yeah, Fernando, 6 out of 10. Now go to Valtteri Bottas. Started 16th, finished 19th. I've gone for a 2 out of 10 for Valtteri. The only reason it's not a 1, because I'm absolutely disgusted with how slow he is at the moment, is because he helped his teammates slightly. But the fact that he is slowing down the pack in order to help his much more inexperienced teammates. This is Valtteri Bottas. He's won races at Mercedes. He's out-qualified Lewis Hamilton. This man is just chilling now. He's putting more effort into his amazing appearance than he is on track, it feels like, at the moment. It just feels very calm, but too calm.
Yeah, I have gone for a 1 out of 10. It was just appalling from Bottas. I mean, I think this is the 3rd race this year where Bottas is looking like he's driving like an F2 car compared to the rest of the field, and it's just absolutely awful just driving around at the back. I don't know what has gone on this season. Dare I say, I think if you actually average out, we'll do this halfway through the season, I think he's been one of the worst drivers of the season when you actually take an average. It's been awful.
We now go to ZHOU Guanyu. His teammates started 13th, finished 9th.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for ZHOU Guanyu. I think it was the polar opposite to Bottas' performance. I think it was really good, showed good pace, overtook some cars. For me, that's a standout performance of his career so far. Well done, ZHOU.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 as well for ZHOU. A decent qualifying, made up solid positions in the race, wasn't afraid to attack Yuki even when there was a couple of points on the line, and yeah, really, really decent performance from ZHOU. He was looking very quick at the start as well. We now go to Oscar Piastri. Started 9th, finished 13th. I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Oscar. Ultimately didn't score any points. It wasn't the worst weekend ever, but like it was more of a what could have been after both McLarens being in Q3. You go, maybe it's some points this weekend, and it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, I've gone for a 5 out of 10 as well. Completely agree. He's nearly there, isn't he? He's doing a lot better than what Ricciardo did against Norris, so he could be proud of that.
Lando Norris up next, started 3rd, finished 17th.
Ouch. Gone for a 3 out of 10. I think it's unfortunate, but it is his mistake. I have to give him props for that amazing qualifying, but he should have just thought about, just be a bit more cautious at turn 1. You've got the chance to get some really good points from McLaren that haven't got many this season, and to throw it all away right at the start.
Now, I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Lando, because I'm not going to downgrade him as much for that lap 1 incident, just purely because qualifying was unbelievable. That was an incredible result for him. I'm putting it down as just unfortunate for Lando for this weekend. He tried to just stick a nose. I do think he shouldn't have done it, and obviously in hindsight it's a beautiful thing, but it was very unlucky. A very difficult weekend for him to digest, I'm sure. But now go to Pierre Gasly. Started 10th, finished 10th. He qualified all the way up in 4th, but then blocked everyone, and therefore got 2 3-place penalties going into the race. I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Pierre. It kind of is a little bit like a Lando, where it's what could have been. Of course, he did score a point, which was a reasonable result, but he lost a lot of positions at the start, and then was able to eventually make up
Yeah, I've gone for a 6 out of 10. It was a very good qualifying result, but just a shame that he blocked so many people to get 2 penalties.
Right, Esteban Ocon started 6th, finished 8th.
I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Ocon. It's decent points, decent drive, but doesn't look as heroic when you've had an amazing podium at Monaco, does it? It's just solid, like a good performance in an Alpine. It's about where that car should be. So, yeah, solid 7 out of 10.
I agree, 7 out of 10 for Ocon. I almost gave him a 6 out of 10, but I was like, it's still 8th. It's still a solid drive in the Alpine, but it's very difficult when you look at Monaco and you go, well, that was unbelievable. But yeah, it's still a decent drive for Ocon. Another solid points finish, and an Esti Bestie is really doing a good job. Let's now move to Lewis Hamilton. Started 4th, finished 2nd. I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for Lewis. Really strong race, showing that Mercedes has thrust itself into potentially the second fastest team again. It's constantly changing. Ferrari, Aston Martin, Mercedes, and it would be amazing if we could just ignore Red Bull. That would be what a championship fight that would be. But Lewis seemed very happy after the race, and 2nd is a great result and a double podium finish.
Yeah, I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for Lewis. It's close to a 10, but I think he left some on the table in qualifying, and then you never know. If he decided on the front row, I don't think he'd have beaten Max, but maybe dive bomb. Seeing them two going into that turn 1 again would have been quite something to behold. But it was a great drive.
George Russell started 12th, finished 3rd.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for George. Really good race, but poor qualifying. He's got to be disappointed with that qualifying. The fact that he's managed to get through the pack, starting behind Perez and beating him on the track, is very impressive.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for George. I think you can kind of overlook the qualifying in this particular instance because, you yourself said he beat Perez from the same position on the grid pretty much. So to do that in a Mercedes that was clearly nowhere near the level of that Red Bull, and to pull off such amazing moves, to be finishing on the podium, it is an unbelievable result for him. So yeah, 9 out of 10. Okay, we now go to Carlos Sainz. Started 2nd, finished 5th. I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Carlos. Very strong qualifying, as it always bloody is with Ferrari. He obviously lost out to Lewis at the start, and then it was literally just trying to cling on for dear life, really, for Carlos. Finishing 5th is decent result. Decent points for the team. But yeah, Carlos, 7 out of 10.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Carlos. I think it was really brilliant qualifying to put it on the front row. He's driven the best he can in that Ferrari with their appalling tyre wear, which is just always going to be there.
Absolutely. Let's speak about Charles Leclerc now then. Started from the pit lane and finished 11th.
I've gone for a 2 out of 10 for Charles Leclerc.
Bloody hell!
Just slow, wasn't he? Just couldn't get a point. I thought he'd have at least got a point.
Jesus Christ! I thought mine was going to be a bad 2 out of 10.
Yeah, well, he's qualified.
Are you
last.
mad?
Why? He qualified last.
The car
and he was
broken.
Terrible. Well, he could only do what he could, and a 2 out of 10. He should have got a point, surely, in a Ferrari.
That doesn't warrant a 2. That's like Logie Sarge levels.
Yeah, but Logie Sarge driving a Williams.
Okay. All right, we'll just ignore everything that you've just said. I'm going to go with a 4 out of 10 for Charles Leclerc. Very, an unknown issue in qualifying, which I'm just going to take that as gospel because it's Charles Leclerc in qualifying. He doesn't get knocked out in Q1 unless there's a problem. Screwed over by Ferrari strategy as well. So yeah, 4 out of 10. Cannot believe you've given him a 2. It's almost like I am Charles Leclerc. Yeah. I am insulted. Sergio Perez started 11th, finished 4th. I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Perez. I think obviously it was a poor qualifying, but then again it's these certain drivers that for whatever reason couldn't grasp the greasy conditions, and yeah, very poor. Made up back to 4th. Should have been on the podium. I can't give him any more than a 7. Yeah, a difficult race and a difficult weekend again for Perez.
I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Perez as well. Yeah, poor qualifying. This was the race that he needed to kind of bounce back after Monaco and go, no, I can still challenge Max, and then to get knocked out and then just not make it through the field like we've seen Max do when he's been the one that's, scuppered in qualifying. So, yeah, 7 out of 10 for Perez.
Okay, we now go to Max Verstappen. Started first, finished first.
I've gone for a 10 out of 10, unsurprisingly. It's the biggest 10 out of 10. I mean, what more can you say? Fastest in FP1, FP2, FP3, quali, race, fastest lap. He's just unbelievable at the moment. And yeah, 40 race wins now is insane.
Certainly is. I've also gone for a 10 out of 10, unsurprisingly. I was actually looking to see who was fastest in Q1, but it wasn't Verstappen, which is really annoying because that would have been the entire clean sweep. What can you say? The man and the machine are one. He is unbelievable, genuinely. That it is. It's hard and it's sad to see him so far clear of everyone else, but you have to also admire what he's doing in that car. Let's crown P1 Max Verstappen.
Yeah, the only one that got a 10.
10 out of 10. So well done, Max. You did an amazing job. Slow down now, will you? Can he just wrap up the championship really early and then we get Danny Rick in that seat?
Look, it's all right saying, he's got the best car by a mile, but Perez hasn't finished second in every single race. So if Max wasn't there, we would have had different winners other than Red Bull, but he's not. Maybe
Alonso at Aston Martin. If Alonso wasn't Aston Martin, you may not have seen one podium for Aston. You've gone, they're a strong midfield car nowadays. Yeah. It's the driver does make some bit of a difference. Anyway, that is it. Lots of love. Take care. Adios. Enjoy a week off Formula One, especially if you're a McLaren or Ferrari fan. And we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.